and my wolf pack, it grew by one. So were there were two of us in the wolf pack. I was alone first in the pack, and then Doug joined in later.
I kind of look back on what you're saying. Makes me think back to the New England Patriots back in '07. You know, they had a perfect season,
yep.
And they ended up losing in the Super Bowl to the Giants. And the Giants won that Super Bowl with a mediocre offense at best. And, you know, the Giants, they were able to create pressure on Tom Brady with just their front four. And they were able to really drop guys back into coverage, drop their linebackers back into coverage, and take away a lot of those passing lanes. I almost have a feeling that this game could roll out like that.
Mr. Crowley!
What's up, Kyle? This is almost like deja vu from 2 weeks ago in the playoffs.
Hey, man, I don't know what's going on. I thought I knew football, but obviously I fucking don't.
I'm going 35-20 Denver.
Bullshit.
Once again, I will take the high road and not rub it in your face. But I don't know, it was kind of crazy. It rolled out exactly how I predicted, and 9 times out of 10, even if you think you know how a game is going to go, it never actually goes that way. But I did say it was going to be 24-21 Seattle, so I did not predict a blowout and complete domination in all 3 phases of the game.
That's true. So I did get one thing right. I picked the wrong team, but I did say it was going to be a blowout. I didn't say it was going to be a 35-point blowout. But I did say it was going to be a blowout.
20, something like that. I think it's going to be a double-digit win. I know, like, the last, I think they said 8 Super Bowls or something like that have been single-digit victories, but I just don't see Seattle being able to hold up on defense that long as long as they're going to need to.
I got something right.
I think basically this game points out that me and you have 2 very distinct differences in our belief about football. You're an offensive-minded kind of guy. I'm a defensive-minded kind of guy.
That's true, but you got to think, with all these rules about the defense, can't touch receivers after 5 yards, can't touch quarterbacks, basically, man, it just seems like it's going to keep going offense. But every time we start thinking that, this game like this fucking happens.
Listen, I was thinking about this today and thinking about how you were talking about, mediocre quarterback play and things like that. Let me throw some names at you. Brad Johnson, Mark Rippon, Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Eli Manning.
Hey, hold on.
Super Bowl champs.
No, see, you can't put Eli in that group because you cannot spell elite without Eli.
That's true.
So there goes your argument right there. But I agree with you on the other guys. Joe Flacco, the jury's still out. I mean, I give him credit for winning, but still, he looked pretty shitty this year. But that could have also been Jim Caldwell. So we'll see this year. Now that they'll have an actual good offensive coordinator.
The most glaring quarterback in that entire group is Trent Dilfer. If you look back to that Ravens first Super Bowl, not the one last year, but the one where they won against the Giants, that offense was terrible. And they had a dominant, probably arguably one of the top 3 defenses in the history of football. That Ravens defense carried that team all year. And Trent Dilfer, lucky for him, he benefits from a Super Bowl ring from being on a team with a dominant defense.
But I mean, they were playing Kerry Collins, if I'm not mistaken here. I'm pretty sure that was the Kerry Collins versus Trent Dilfer Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe that was. So,
man, an offensive guy like me, man, I gotta go back and watch that game. I bet that game was fun to watch. But anyway, it's back to the debacle that was Super Bowl 48. I mean, holy shit, that thing started out right away. It was awful. And the worst part is that they scored within 12 seconds of the first half. So, Seattle in the 12th man. And then they scored 12 seconds into the second half. So, that fucking Super Bowl had Seattle written all over. It's ridiculous. But I did think it was hilarious that botch snap was Manny Ramirez, which is, if you remember, I said there was 3 Lions players in the Super Bowl. That was one of them. So, So next Lions. So you got a little Lions flavor in the Super Bowl there. That was awesome. It looked just like the Lions.
Yeah, but on the other side of that coin, you had Cliff Averill just wreaking havoc against that Denver offensive line all night.
Every time he made a play, I just shook my head. I'm like, God damn it. Because I was happy to see him leave, because that dude's mouth just never stopped fucking running about money, about how he should be owed all this money. And, I mean, he showed, at least Sunday night, man, he showed why. He said he was worth all that. But Seattle fans, get ready, because after a game like that, you're going to hear from Cliff Averill all summer about how we should get paid. So have fun with that, guys. But also, I mean, obviously the score being, 43-8, and all the obvious reasons why it was surprising. Was there anything in the game that surprised you that, a lot of people aren't talking about?
Yeah, I mean, a couple surprising things. Peyton Manning had a Super Bowl record for completions, 34.
Yep.
I mean, people aren't talking about that, but that sounds kind of ridiculous when you look at the score and how the game was dominated. So 34 completions in the game for Peyton Manning sets a Super Bowl record, and they only managed 8 points. I mean, that just goes to show you that those completions just weren't really for hardly any yardage.
Nope. And Demaryius Thomas, he got the record for the most catches in the Super Bowl too. He got 13, which is pretty impressive, seeing that they said that he separated his shoulder in the first quarter. So it's probably on that big hit by Chancellor.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So that was kind of surprising. I don't know. It was even kind of surprising that with the starting corners going out for Seattle, that Denver still couldn't manage to do anything.
I know. I mean, there was no life. I mean, even the drive they got they looked decent, I guess, on the Super Bowl or on the touchdown drive, but holy crap! Other than that, I mean, they talk about how Cliff Averill caused that pick six, how he hit Peyton's ham, but really, if you go back and look at that play, dude, Peyton Manning was throwing off his back foot, and everyone knows that he doesn't have an arm anymore. And if you were to look where he was throwing into double coverage, so that shit would have been picked off either way. That was just a stupid decision by Peyton Manning to throw that. He should have just taken the sack and, gone to the next play.
Yeah, it was a poor decision. And even some of the long balls that Peyton tried to force, toward the end of the game, it didn't even seem like those were really, that he even really had an opportunity to complete those. Those were kind of just a prayer going up as well.
Yep. Yeah, the thing that surprised me was the play of Percy Harvin. I know, everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're stupid, there's a reason they gave up so much and all that shit, but the dude's done nothing all season. And even the one playoff game that he played in, I mean, he got hit one time and got a concussion, so I was surprised he was actually able to make a difference after not playing that much. But, and on the other hand, Denver's defense really did what they went out to do. I mean, Marshawn Lynch really wasn't a factor at all. He had a touchdown, but other than that, he really wasn't a factor at all in this game.
Yeah, that was a surprising thing. If there was one thing that I felt pretty strongly about going in, was I thought Marshawn Lynch would control the game. That didn't really happen, and I know you're not a fan of Russell Wilson and you don't think he played all that well, but I think his QBR was over 127 points or something like that.
Yeah.
And you got to look, they could not stop him on third down. I mean, he was making the throws he needed to make, and he was scrambling for the yardage that they were giving him, and then stepping out of bounds and being smart about it.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything spectacular, but he kept drives going, and he made the plays they needed him to make.
Yeah.
So I tell you one thing, people may knock Russell Wilson for being a game manager. I would definitely think a lot of teams out there would love to have a game manager.
Yeah, but being a Skins fan, would you take Russell Wilson over RG3?
RG3 this year or last year?
If coming out right now, knowing that RG3's healthy,
probably going to be healthy going into the season, and Russell Wilson's coming off a Super Bowl championship. Who would you take right now?
I'd still go with RG3.
Exactly, that's my point.
But, I mean, you know, last year the Redskins did face Seattle in the playoffs, and the Redskins, with RG3, the first 2 drives, the Redskins were up 14-0 on them.
Yeah.
But that was right when RG3 hurt the knee again, was right before he threw that second touchdown pass, and then they never crossed the 50 again.
Yep.
So I do think athlete against athlete, I think RG3 is a better player, and I think what we saw this year was just a shell of what he really is. Obviously, next year is kind of going to be the deciding factor on that.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way, dude. I'll pick Stafford any day of the week over, you know, Russell Wilson. I understand that, you know, he makes good decisions, and someone put out this stupid stat that Russell Wilson has thrown this exact same amount of interceptions in 2 years that Stafford threw this year, which is just a stupid statistic because if you look, Stafford threw like almost, it wasn't completely twice as many passes, but it was almost twice as many passes. So, sheer numbers, it's going to fucking happen. The guy, like you said, is a game manager, but, you know, if your defense isn't playing that good and the running game's not working, you know, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I wish I had Russell Wilson on the team. You know, Stafford makes some bad decisions here and there, but Stafford has shown time and time again that when everything else is fucking looking like shit, he can come out and win the game. So.
You know, Russell Wilson plays the role that they need him to play, but that's kind of Seattle.
Yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks in general are that way. I mean, they had 19 players on that roster that were not even drafted. 19 out of the 53 players. They've got a lot of guys, including Richard Sherman, who were late round draft picks. I believe Richard Sherman was a 5th round draft pick. So they have a lot of guys that they've kind of elevated their play and are role players, and you know, I mean, that's what it takes to win.
Yep.
You've got to have a team play.
You got to be able to draft well too. You know, it's not just keep picking, you know, doing good in the first couple rounds. It's doing good in the bottom part too, and getting depth players, and just, you know, them getting lucky with having those depth players turn into starters. But, you know, like the Lions, they've been hitting good on the first couple rounds, but they haven't done shit in the bottom half, and that's the problem. You know, they're relying too much on free agency when you got a team like Seattle who, I mean, yeah, Lynch is a free agent, and so is, you know, like Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, but all the other big stars were, I mean, and Percy Harvin in that game, but really, like I said, he wasn't relevant all year. But pretty much all the other stars were all, you know, homebred guys that they drafted. So they do a good job drafting. But let's wrap this thing up, man. It's getting long. You know, the game was shitty. But looking into next year real quick, I think Seattle has a better chance to come back and repeat than Denver does, just because of how old Peyton is. You know, we all remember Brett Favre. He had that great season 2011, or 09, I think it was. And then in 10, he looked like shit. You know, that was just the last shining moment. So who knows if that's the same thing with Peyton, but we'll see. But, you know, stay tuned, guys. You know, now that all the games are over, we're going to start hitting in the big topics that are going on in the off season. We got the Combines coming up here soon, and then we got free agency coming up next month.